I'm Bruce van Wyk. I'm one of the founders of the organization as well as the director. ISO certification is an information security management framework which really helps you position yourself from a risk perspective when dealing with data in a structured way. What it does is address the approach in storing data and in any type of offering when it comes to information around the offering to clients. It is a framework that is globally recognized. As a cloud provider, we need to give our clients the assurances that the data, the way we store the data and protect it is of a very high standard. And that will come down to also then expanding itself into not only being about the data and security of the physical information itself, but the processes in terms of how we as an organization administer these areas, the procedures that are utilized, as well as all of the controls around anything to do with what relates to the information technology as the offering. It means a whole lot for us as an organization. Firstly, differentiating us from the competition and other offerings in the market space. And it also gives our clients the assurances that we are complying with the globally accepted standard when addressing the controls, the procedures internally, the way that we deal with the data, the way we handle the data, and then in turn comply with a lot of the data protection acts around the globe, whether they be EU or from America or in South Africa, the POPI type acts. So it's an all-encompassing situation, and ultimately that does result in us joining quite an exclusive group of companies that have this ISO certified certification. It means that we would need to always be innovating. Because one of the requirements is that it is not just about what you have. You have to be constantly evolving in the different pillars of the controls, the processes, the leadership, what you're putting out as an organization to remain certified and remain innovative with whatever you're putting into the market space. This is an international standard, and it's a good question because when we decided on which certification best suited our cloud offering, it needed to be international. This one was chosen because of the globally accepted standard of its approach and frameworks, which talks to our customer base from a multinational perspective. So there's different bodies globally. In this country, as a South African organization, it is done by the South African Bureau of Standards. The 7 core pillars of the ISO 27001 certification are listed as the context of the organization, the leadership, the planning, the support, the operations, the performance evaluations of all of those elements above, and critically important, the continual improvement on all of that. And that would really encompass the framework of the ISO within that element of documentation around all of that, the policies, the people within any of those areas, the controls, and it gets into quite a detailed requirement where it expands itself from those core topics into multiple different levels and gets very comprehensive in its requirement of compliance. So in all of those different pillars and spheres, the entire organization, from people, processes to controls and a lot more, have to exist. So the process requires us as an organization to go through a 6-month period with a preparation body that would have a look at all of the elements that are required for ISO certification, and those would talk to the documentation around the processes, the physical storage of the information, the controls within the organization. Once you've been through that 6-month process, you would ready yourself for the first audit, which is a test of readiness in terms of the whole certification. Once you've completed that, you would then have a full-on audit in terms of all of the different pillars, the different processes, and if you have successfully gone through that, you would be recommended to the board at the SABS for certification, and they would analyze that entire finding and ultimately issue the certification if all of the measures have been adhered to. It gives them the absolute peace of mind that PaySpace has approached its cloud offering in a world-class manner, that it takes every precaution and approach to complying, controlling processes, where we store our data, the people that we employ, the controlled method in which we look after the data to ensure that they have a world-class standard in compliance in utilizing our online payroll and HR system.